Well, my name is Marco, and today we are doing State of the Collection, but the Fixed Blade edition. I did my State of the Collection for my folders here not too long ago, and I was gonna do the full collection, including both folders and fixed blades, but the video was getting way too long, so I decided to split it. And what I told you in the folders was that my goal is that this year I'm gonna reduce my collection. I've been fortunate to have a very large collection of knives, but it's a first world problem, but it is a problem where you have some knives that are your favorites, but I have a lot of options, and I end up not using my favorite knives as much as I want to. So what I want to is to reduce my collection so that I get to use the ones that I really like much more, and to give me more of a chance to try some new knives. And I've decided to start with Microtech because back a long time ago, and this was even before I started knife collecting, I needed a fixed blade. I was going camping with some friends, and I wanted to have a fixed blade, you know, something a little bit more robust. And I bought, it wasn't this knife, but it was kind of in the same family. It's called the Crosshairs. I don't think they make it anymore. It's more of a spear point with serrations, but very much in the flavor of this knife. The same kind of molded plastic, the same lanyard with a paracord, with a heavy knocker, those kinds of things. It's very much in the flavor of, this is the Kurahi. And so, but that's the one that kind of got me started on fixed blades. I no longer have it. I sold it a long time ago. I wish I still had it because they no longer make it. So, but it was one of those where I wanted to buy something else. So I decided to start with Microtech because that's kind of how I got started. So what you see here, this is the Kurahi. This is the collaboration with Borka Blades. I think this is the SBK, and this is the SBD. But you can see it has the Borka Blades logo right here. And out of these three, this one I use quite a bit, and I like this one a lot. The ergonomics on this one, the material, the size, it's very well built. I like this one a lot, and I use this one a lot. My only gripe with this one, it has a little bit of a recurve, and you can see it right here, and it's a little bit of a pain to sharpen, and it's such a light recurve that I think that the knife could have remained the same or performed the same way if they had done away with the recurve. At least that's my opinion. This one, I just think this one looks, this is a dagger, and I just think this one looks very cool. In my review of this one, I was very honest about it. This one I have just because I liked having it. It's not a utilitarian knife, not for me. I imagine that for somebody it could be more of a kind of a self-defense type dagger type of thing. That's not what it is for me. For me, I just think it just looks awesome. It's not utilitarian, but I do like this one quite a bit. This one it's kind of a little bit in between these two. It's kind of an upsea kind of Persian type blade, so it's got a lot more utility, especially kind of skinning, food preparation, those kinds of things. That I imagine that's not what it was made for. But I use it much more than I do this one, a little bit less than I use this one. So this is kind of the collaboration between, I think Borka Blade does really nice designs. They're the ones behind the Stitch, and I think they do really nice design. And the fact that it's Microtech, it means that it's not the full custom, the Borka Blades customs, which are very expensive. This gets it to a much more reasonable price point. These come, so the Kurahi comes with this kind of a carbon fiber weave kydex kind of a thing. It has a tech lock clip for your belt. Very cool. So this one I use quite a bit. You can orient it in whatever orientation you want to do it. Very, very useful. And the other the dagger has kind of the same clip, and the SBK has more of an aluminum kind of clip. I hate these clips because obviously they're very secure, right? I don't know if you can tell, in there's like a little tab of aluminum that secures it on your belt, but what happens is when you go to take it off, it's very hard to get it off. But anyways, so this is the Microtech that I have, and we're gonna keep on going. I'll see you at the next one. All right, so in fixed blade, I do have a couple of makers where I do a lot of their knives, but for a lot of them, I have kind of a hodgepodge of knives. So let me tell you kind of what we have here. So for a long time, I had not tested one of the fall Niven knives until I finally got this. I believe this is the NL5, and you can see that I used it. This is the Arnaud Bernard. I want to say it's the Eland or Eland. This is ergonomics for this one are phenomenal. This is the Giant Mouse GMF. I want to say it's 4. I want to say that it's GMF 4. Really, really, really recommended knife. This one, can we appreciate the sheath of this one? This is awesome. This is a sheath. I believe his name is Sergio. He in the Dark Timber Customs group, he does kind of leather sheets, but that's like the Dark Timber Customs logo. So he does like just for that for these knives, and it's just so very cool. I like this sheath quite a lot. And this is the Bushy. This is the Dark Timber Customs Bushy. And this one is the Creeley Blades Mako. So this for a long time, one of the largest channels for fixed blades, it's DBK Bushcrafters, and this is I think this is they're from, I want to say, Sweden, and for a long time they said that Fall Niven was kind of their top knife, their some of their top performing knives. They have kind of their laminated steel, where they put it's kind of like Damacore, where they have the core of one steel with the outer layers of a different steel. But it wasn't. They made this one. I believe that this is. I can't remember the steel. It's laminated COS, but they have two versions of this knife, and this is the one that has a little bit of the better steel. It has stacked leather handle, so the ergonomics are very good. But I need to use it a little bit more so that the oils from my hand start to kind of penetrate into this one. Very cool knife. Now this one is kind of one of the more elegant knives I have in my collection. This is the Arnaud Bernard Eland, and they have, you can't it's not showing off very well just because it's been used, but this one has the blades are kind of mirror polished. I want to say that it's like probably N690 steel. I think they're very thin, so they're more of a hunting more than bushcraft camp type knife. This one has a mammoth scale, so this one I baby it a little bit, if I'm honest, especially because I use my knife for more of camping, wood processing, those kinds of thing. I don't use it don't use it very much for hunting, which is probably what this one is, part of the Pro Hunter series, so you can imagine. So I don't use this one as much, just because it's such a thin blade, and I usually need a little bit of a more robust blade. This one I believe is also in 690, and I hope that they come up with one of these knives. They use LMAX for a lot of other things in giant mouth, so I'm hoping that they come up with it in LMAX. I think LMAX is such a great steel. But the size of this knife, the ergonomics, the blade shape, it fits. Like I've always said, I wear large gloves, and this one fits me really, really well. It has no handle that I don't need. It's basically perfect for my hand. I can choke up, and it has this jimping in the back where it's perfect if you're here, and then it's perfect if you choke up. This is a very underrated knife. I would highly recommend this one for sure. It's a really, really, really good knife. My only gripe is that it's in N690 steel, which is not, it's not a bad steel, it's not a great steel either. My favorite knife for ergonomics and in this type of belt knife, kind of like jack of all trades type of knife, is this Dark Timbers Bushy. This one is just so nice. I was lucky enough to be able to snag this one in the secondary market. I don't think they make this one anymore. They're hard to come by. You can find them in some of the Facebook groups. It's kind of a religion. It really is. But this one, really, really, really nice knife. If you can get your hands on some of the Dark Timber Customs, they're really, really nice knives. And then this one is the Creeley Mako, and this one's in crew wear, and I named it one of the best fixed blades for EDC. It's a very small knife, as you can see. It has probably a 2-inch blade on here. It comes with kind of a front pocket with a utility clip here for your front pocket. So this one you can actually carry as a fixed blade as an EDC. And the reason I ended up looking at Creeley blades is because it's one of those knife makers that experiments with certain of the super steels, and by super steel I don't mean S45VN, S90V, or any of those. I'm talking the Rex 121s, those kinds of steels. This one is in CPM crew wear, which it's become a lot more available, but the ergonomics of this one are really, really good. It's a very, very handy little fixed blade. One of my favorite fixed blades for EDC to be able to carry every day, because you don't carry something like that every day. So that's Miscellaneous Knives #1, and I'll see you at the next batch. All right, and we're gonna continue with some fixed blades, and some of these are really some of my favorites. One of my favorite brands, TRC knives. This is the TRC Apocalypse. I've used this one, probably of my large fixed blades, is the one that I've used the most. I think this is an outstanding knife. If you wanna just grab a knife and forget about it, I think the TRC Apocalypse, I think it's one of the best for sure. This is the TRC South Pole, and it's one of my latest acquisitions. I don't think I've done the review on this one yet. I've already taken it out for a spin for testing. I really, spoiler alert, I really like that TRC. This is the LT Wright. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of this one. Workhorse. This is the LT Wright Workhorse, and I have mixed feelings about this one. I think it's really well built. I think it's a nice knife. I don't like how the scales just kind of stop right here. I don't like that. But it's kind of, I'm not in love with it, but at the same time, every time that I've thought about, hey, I'm gonna get rid of it, it kind of sticks around. It's got a size where it's easy to carry. It's well built. I think it's beautiful. So even though I'm not crazy about it, I can also say that it's stuck around a lot longer than I thought it would. And then probably, you know, along with the Dark Timber Customs Bushy, for kind of a smaller 4-inch kind of everyday camp type knife, the Chris Reeve Nyala. This one's seen a lot of things. It's going to see a lot of use. I like this one quite a bit. It fits my hand so well. It's very much in this category of size. I really like. It's a very simple sheath, but it works really well for the Nyala. I'm really bummed that they stopped doing this one. They also did it in kind of a sheep's foot blade. I think this is, especially for outdoors, I think this is a better blade for outdoors. You can see most outdoor knives will have this blade shape. And it also came in a black micarta, but this one, the brown micarta, I've had offers to buy this one from me. I've had a lot of them, and this one is very likely gonna stay in my collection for a very long time. This is S35VN. This one's in D2, and I think that's part of kind of what puts me off a little bit. I don't like the D2 is kind of it's a decent steel, but we've had such evolutionary leaps in steels that I think, especially for something this size, I've said in the past that I think S35VN doesn't really work for something this size. For example, I had a Chris Reeve Pacific. It's kind of like this size of a blade in S35VN, but I think it makes sense for this size of blade. I don't think it makes sense for this size of blade. I think it's a little soft. D2, I think there's knives that give you the same, you know, toughness, the same, you know, resistance, the same resistance to getting dull, but with a little more corrosion resistance than this one has. And then this one, I don't think it's Elmax. I think, oh, this is they call it Vanadis 4E, which is kind of a version of Vanax, which is really cool, which means it doesn't rust at all. I remember there's I don't know if you can tell, it says Vanadis 4E, which is kind of like when you say 20 CV or M390, that kind of thing. And this is Elmax, and I like the apocalyptic finish quite a bit. I gave my son, there's a K1S in this same apocalyptic finish. This is a really good knife. I especially, you know, there's something about the apocalyptic finish that you worry less about it. And even when I've used it, and you can see all of these kind of stripes here that you see is used, it's not part of the finish. But damn it, if it doesn't look like the finish, it looks like, it really does look like part of the finish. I I like it a lot. Anyways, guys, I'll see you with the next batch. All right, so now we're getting into my obsessions, right? And I think one of my favorite brands, absolutely probably my favorite brand for fixed blades. If I could say just keep one brand for fixed blades for the rest of my life, it would be Bark River knives. You can see it's gonna be the one that has the most of a single brand. And I came across Bark River knives by reading in DLT Trading, which is one of the websites that I use for buying knives. I'm not affiliated with Bark River, with DLT Trading. I believe that the owner's, his name's Jason, and I want to think his website in the about page or something like that. He says that his favorite knife is the Bark River Bravo 1, which is the one that I have here. And this one's in CPM Crewwear. You can find it in like 10 different steels probably. But I did want to give it a try, and this is where I started. Not with this specific knife. I actually had another Bravo 1. I gave it away, and then I bought it again. But it struck me that this guy has access to basically every knife out there. Okay, they sell a lot of knives, all the brands, a lot of really high-end stuff. And he mentioned this one. So when somebody like that tells you that, I'm really glad that I listened. So this is kind of like in the same kind of neighborhood size, a little bit bigger than the type Nyala, but very much like the South, like the South Pole. Something that you can throw on your belt, wherever you're out. And it's not huge, but it'll probably do most of the things that you need when you're outdoors. I think the Bravo 1 is probably one of my most recommended fixed blades. And then on the short, this is my latest acquisition, and I can't remember. I'll put the name of this one. By God, I can't remember the name of this one. It's my latest acquisition. It's more of a EDC fixed blade, so you won't find the review up yet. But I just thought it looked so cool with the carbon fiber and the pins and the blue in Magna Cut. Very cool. I'll put the name. There's so many of these that it's hard to keep all the names straight. This is the North Country EDC, and this one is in CPM 154. I've enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's, whenever I want kind of a smaller knife to carry, I gravitate towards the 4-inch blades quite a bit. The Nyala is in the range. I'm going to show you some Winkler's knives here in a little bit. But I gravitate to a lot of the 4-inch blade. Whenever I'm just gonna be walking around camp. This is more of a jack of all trades kind of knife. This is what I've got on my hip. Just something that's not very long, something that's not very heavy, but something that'll be tough enough to put in some work. I really like this. Not a huge fan of CPM 154, but for this size of knife, I'll allow it, right? This is the Cub, and the Cub is very similar, or at least in my mind, it looked very similar to the this is the what's it called? This is the Squad Leader 2, and this is in 3V. And when I saw them, I thought, because of the kind of the fuller, and they kind of looked similar in my head. But when I finally got them, they're kind of fairly different knives. First, this is much more heavy duty. You can see it's much thicker. And then the blade, it's narrower and a little bit longer. So this one is more of a fast blade. I think this is better for for hunting, and this one's better for bushcraft. This is it has more mass, so you can chop with this one. You'd be a little bit harder pressed with chop with this one. This one has a lot more mass to impact, and I like this one better. I think the Cub is probably gonna. It's one of the few Bark River knives that is probably gonna leave my collection, just because it's kind of a. It stands in between this one and this one. I like these two a lot better than I like this one. It's a very good knife, and you can see I even went with the fancy wood, with the fancy pins. It's got the red liners. Really cool knife, and it feels great in the hand. The ergonomics on all Bark River knives is just phenomenal. Probably top of the line in ergonomics. Just this one, it's like I said, I'm trying to reduce my collection, and it's kind of right in between these two. So this one's probably gonna go. And then probably my favorite Bark River knife, that's the Strike Force 2. And so this one is this is 3B, and you can see I've put it through its spaces. I probably need to clean them. I like the pine cone with the white to black transition. I think that looks really good. This one, so this one is very much in the GMF4 Giant Mouse, in the TRC Apocalypse. It's that kind of size. This is kind of where I draw the line at a large blade. I don't usually go with much bigger than this. Or actually, I don't go with bigger knives than this. And these mostly stay in the camp. I usually don't walk around with this size of a knife. It's a lot of steel to be carrying around, but it's great for you know, if you want to baton through some wood. I've done that, and they hold up really well. Most actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say all of the Bark River knives that I have a convex edge. So that means that the edge, they grind by hand, and it has like a curve. I'm gonna exaggerate it with my hand. It's a curve like this. It's not flat. It's a curve. So a lot more material is closer to the edge. So that you know, that helps but they come up to a zero edge. You can see there's no secondary bevel on this knife. You can see it. You can see it. You can't see it either here. There's no secondary bevel. It just goes to a zero edge. But it's because they carry a lot of material right up to that point. So these are very tough, very resilient, very well built knives. Like I said, if I had to, and I have these 6, and there's probably another 50 different models. They make so many knives. The choices, you're spoiled for choice. And you can see I have a video that's called the Bark River Knives Brand Overview. So I talk a lot more deeply about these, but you can see the handle choices, the steel choices. There's just on the table. There's Magnica, there's CPM 154, there's 3B, there's crew wear. You've got carbon fiber, you've got resin, you've got wood, resin and pine cone. You have a lot of choices. Give them a choice. Give them a chance. My only complaint is that some of the sheaths are not the greatest. So for my Bravo 1, I ended up with an aftermarket sheath. This is an aftermarket sheath for my Bravo 1. For my squad leader. For my squad leader 2, I also did I think these are Patriot leather. The rest, I think I have the original ones, but I'm not too crazy about some of the sheaths. I do like some of them. I don't like some of them, especially the ones that are just the generic kind of taco type, not taco, but just the pancake type. I don't like those. I like them when they have you know, a little bit of the contour of the knife. I like that very much. Like this one. This one's very much in the Nyala type of sheath. I like these a lot. Guys, I'll see you at the next batch. So now we're going to be talking about another brand that I'm a huge fan of. I was really late in the game, and that's Winkler knives. This is called the General. This one's called the Highland Hunter. And this one is called the Field Knife. And the first thing I'm going to say is that Winkler does the best sheets in the world. I always mention it whenever I talk about Winkler. I do think that they are that good to be worth mentioning every single time. They have this this layer of leather on the exterior, and then there's kydex in the middle, and then there's felt on the inside, or suede. I think probably suede in here. So you get the retention of kydex with the look of leather without the clicky feel that you get from kydex that I hate, the clicking. You don't get any of that. The sheets are just beyond incredible. If I could, I would have all of my knives in these type of sheets. I was late to the Winkler party because they have the steel that they use is 8CRV2. And that's different from the 813 CR18 MOV or whatever it's called. It's different from that. And I sent an email, and I kind of chatted back and forth with Dan Winkler, and he said that because of the way he treats his blades, he's been able to get a lot out of this steel. And I put a mirror edge on this one, so I've sharpened it. And this is a very, very hard steel. It holds an edge very, very well, because what he does is most knife makers, they cut the outline of the knife, and then they heat treat the knife, and then they grind the primary and secondary bevels. That's kind of that order. And what Winkler says is that because what he does is he grinds it first, and then he heat treats, because he believes, or his knowledge tells him, that the grinding process puts some heat into the knife such that it loses some of its properties that you added during heat treatment. So, but it's a little bit of a dangerous thing that he does, because it's much easier to warp a blade after it's been ground than when you have the full thickness of the knife. So it makes it so that his knives, with the heat treatment that he does on all of these knives, is just phenomenal. It's just really, really good. And I like them this size and this size. This one I'm probably gonna sell because this size of a knife I usually use for processing wood. Whenever you have this bigger blade, I like, probably baton and chop and those kinds of things. But this is kind of a thinner blade with kind of a flat grind. So I'm guessing it's not meant exactly for that. It's more of a hunting / tactical knife. So it's this size of a blade. I need it to be a little bit thicker and a little bit more robust. To kind of split wood and to have more mass. The ergonomics are surprisingly good on these, even though they have a very neutral handle. And you can, because of that neutral handle, you can hold them in a lot of different positions. I want to say I had another one called probably about this size, called the Jaeger, that's been sold. That one's probably going to be sold, and these two I'm probably going to keep. This one's I like quite a bit, because this size, this thickness for the size of the blade, it's perfect. And this one just I like this little one quite a bit. The General, it's hard to get because you can only get it through the Mass General store, but highly recommend it if you can find it. Keep your eyes peeled. The Mass General Store guys told me that they're going to be getting more. They wouldn't tell me when or if. Well, no, they did tell me that they would get more. They just didn't tell me when. So just keep an eye out. Guys, so that's Winkler knives. And I will see you with the next one. All right, so we're going to be doing a little bit of another one of these hodgepodge type of knives, groups. This one, this is one of my latest acquisitions. I haven't tested it out. I haven't gone out with it yet, but I've eyed it for a long time. This is the RMJ Utsidihi, and I've seen it for a long time, and it's come in a variety of different kind of colorways. But when it came in this one, I think this one looks very, very cool. I was surprised because it comes with a sheath that's very much, it's just a leather sheath, but it's very reminiscent of the Winkler knives sheaths. It's very secure, but it's leather. And oh no, actually, you know what? Actually, I bought this aftermarket. It's from Chattanooga Leatherworks, and it's made exactly for the Utsidihi. It came with a Kydex sheath. That's how it goes. But I was surprised. Hopefully you can see this. It has a mirror edge on it. It came with a mirror edge. Hopefully that's coming across there. It's it's incredibly sharp. Probably one of the sharpest knives I've ever gotten. So I'm kind of excited to take it out for a spin. Again, very much in that Niala size, 4-inch blade, very much in that flavor. Another one of my latest acquisitions. This is the Medford knife and tool, the Deep, and this is kind of a beast. It's got a really, really thick blade. This is S45VN. It's kind of very cool, kind of cross guard here. This one is also one of my later acquisitions. I haven't tested this one yet, but I will let you know how it behaves. Feels great in the hand. I'm not crazy about Kydex sheets, but as far as this one, it holds the knife secure, it doesn't rattle, and it's got a really nice kind of rest for your thumb so you can push against it. Very cool. I'm looking forward to also testing this one out. Now, these other ones I have tested out. This is the Maniago Knife Makers Micro, and as you might have guessed, this is the Macro. This one's more of a kind of a novelty kind of a thing, probably for just, it's kind of perfect for opening packages. You can see where the jimping's at. Very much, it's kind of a neck knife, kind of a fifth pocket knife. I like it a lot. I really like the combination of the carbon fiber, and I just think it looks really, really cool. And the Macro, it was one of the other ones, along with the Creeley Blades Mako. The Macro, it's also one that I would highly recommend for EDC, because what you do is you put it in the sheath, and then this one has a magnet, so it sits in your pocket, and then this clips over your clothes, and it kind of keeps it very secure. And this is just a very, very handy. It's a small blade, but it's very, very handy. The sheep's foot in kind of EDC type scenario. Very, very cool. I would highly recommend these are both M390 blades. Highly recommended. Very much in kind of that same flavor, kind of a smaller blade that is a sheep's foot blade. This is the Tactical Pterodactyl Raptor, and I had a Camper, which is kind of the drop point version of this. I ended up keeping the sheep's foot. I just like the grind. It's like a very aggressive type of grind. I like kind of like the rock scales. Very cool little knife. I don't much care for the sheath. It doesn't have a clip. It doesn't have anyway. Just basically, it's just a sheath to keep you from getting cut. But you kind of have to attach it somehow. None of these other ones have that problem. I don't like the sheaths from Tactical Pterodactyl. I really don't. And finally, this is one of the most ingenious names that I've ever come across. This is the Pena fixed blade. Ta-da! That's all it's called. It's called the Pena fixed blade. It's a tiny little blade. It's really, really small. It's kind of a front pocket type of a carry. Very slim. You've got this cup that sits outside your pocket. It's a little bit tough to get out of the. It's fairly tight in there in the sheath. So I put a little bit of a lanyard to help me kind of pull it out. But this is part of the X series, so this is Riot made. It's very, very light, very, very small, but very much in the neighborhood of more of a package opening type of thing. There's not much more that you're going to be able to do with these things, but I think the shape and the grind and the finish on this is just really, really nice, and I really, really like the sheath. So anyways, this is M390. That is the Pena fixed blade. And guys, I will see you with the next batch. All right, we don't have that many to go here. And so these, if you've seen my fixed blade videos, you will see that for the longest time, I didn't have a good knife that was the base of comparison for sizes. I used to request for people to tell me which knife they would like for me to compare their knives to, for size comparisons. So, and for a while I kind of kept asking, and people, for the most part, they said, hey, compared to the ESEEs. And ESEE makes a very good knife. It's not very expensive. It's widely available. So it kind of became my size comparison. So I did the SE3 and the SE5. The SE3 very much in that 4-inch blade type size that I like a lot, and I ended up getting the 3D contouring version of the knife. And then this is very much in the TRC Apocalypse type of size. This is a monster. I don't like the coating that they put on this. It shows every single use that you do it shows. But it served me well for the purposes of comparing sizes. This right here is the LionSteel. I want to say it's the M4, and this is one of the ones that's gonna get sold, and it's because I love the way this one looks. It's so cool, but I have no use for a karambit style. I don't know how to use a karambit. For self-defense, I prefer something that I can get a better handle on. The ring, this loop in the back is just, when I saw it, and especially in the sheath, this one, I think it looks just really, really, really cool. So not a lot of use out of this one. A lot more use out of this one though. This is the LionSteel M5, and for the longest time, LionSteel used their proprietary kind of Sleipner steel, and I'm not a huge fan of proprietary steels. I don't think there's a lot of testing or literature or body of work that tells you that it's a decent knife. But they did this one in 3D, and I think and I've tested plenty of 3V, so this is when I decided to pull the trigger. I do like the kind of orange G10 kind of colorway. This one I did test, and the review of this one is coming up. It's one of the latest one that I tested, and this one's grown so much on me. It's the first time that as a content creator, somebody sends me a knife for review. So I've been carrying this one. This one is from Baltic Blades. It's an N690 blade, and this one is called the Angus. And it's basically, it's kind of like a scalpel. Very easy to carry. It falls. It almost wants to be a neck knife. And I wish it had. I wish I could. I'll probably make it like a little sheath, leather sheath, kind of like what the Pena fixed blade has. But what he does is this kind of like a solid N690 block of steel. It's so well made. It's there's something about holding it that you're gonna have to trust me on it. It's very, very sharp, very well made. Obviously, it's for very precise, shallow cuts. It's probably, you can probably not do, there's not a lot of grip that you can. I mean, you can almost get a 4-finger grip on it, but you only have like a 1-inch blade, so you're not gonna be doing something heavy. But but everyday carry tasks, I think this would serve you very, very well. It's kind of a thin blade. It's super light to carry. You can put whatever paracord you want to put on there. It comes with a paracord. That's the way this one came, and that is my Baltic Blades Angus. So be on the lookout for a review on this one as well. So this is the final batch of my knife collection, and no surprise for anybody that's followed my channel. I am a fan of Hinderer. So we have so this one's the Ranch. It'll come to me what this one's called. So this one, very much in that 4.5-inch blade, very, very good ergonomics. 20 CV steel, really, really cool little blade. This is the Quiet Carry Current. This is an LC200N, so kind of the Quiet Carry deal is that they make fully kind of waterproof, rust-proof type blades. So whenever I'm going, whatever, rafting or, to a river or whatever, that's kind of the knife that I carry. This is the Benchmade Hidden Canyon, and I like this one quite a bit. I like the sheath quite a bit, but they make an S90V version of this one that I wish that would come in this sheath, but they only make this sheath for this one, so I'm stuck with the S30V version of the knife. And this one, this one's called the Emmett. That's what it was called. And this one's called the Ranch. And this one I like quite a bit. It was my battle horse for a long time until I got the TRC Apocalypse. And the only reason that I kind of switched is that the ergonomics are very weird on this one. It does have a kind of Coke bottle, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of in the back. So my hands usually more in the front, so the ergonomics are kind of weird on the Ranch. Very good knife, very well made. It's got kind of this harpoon spanto grind that Hinderer does, which makes the tip fairly robust. Again, this is 3V. Really, really good knife. It's just the ergonomics in my hand. It's almost like he wants you to hold it back here, but it's a little bit strange. This one's a little bit strange. But this one's one of my earlier fixed blades. When I started collecting knives, I went down the rabbit hole of zero tolerance, the 0562, and then I went into the XM18, and very quickly I came upon this one, and then the Emmett came a little bit later. This one. It's not a recent design, but it's much more recent than the Ranches. And the ergonomics on this one are phenomenal. This one's got contoured micarta scales that just melt in your hand. This one, the ergonomics on this one are great. I wish that this one wasn't a Bowie. They don't make it into a different grind. I'm not crazy about Bowie style shapes. We would have much rather that he did kind of a harpoon, kind of Spanta type of blade. It's certainly pokey, that's for sure, but I don't find myself poking a lot with my knives. So, guys, that is it. That is, oh well, I still got this little one. I've had about 3 or 4 different Tops knives, and this is the Wind Runner. The Wind Runner. And the ergonomics on Tops knives just don't fit my hand. I've had the Tex Creek, I've had the Tops Bob, the Brothers of Bushcraft. I've had a lot of them, and just this one's they don't fit my hand very well. I think they're really well made knives. A little bit dated steel. They usually use 1095 steel. They heat treat it well. They grind it well. But I think in today's day and age, 1095, you can see there's a little bit of rust on this one. Just there's not a lot of excuses to still be using these kinds of steels, and the ergonomics, at least in my hands, just have never been great. So, guys, that is it. That is all of my fixed blades collection. Hopefully you've liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And until I see you at the next one, take care, guys.